Jane, I can't tell you how great it is to, number one, see you again. And it's been a little while. And number two, to have you on the CEO Global Network podcast. We really appreciate you being with us, Jane.
Thanks, John. I've been looking forward to it. Great to see you again.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it as well. And I just want to let everybody who's listening and watching just a little bit, just kind of a 50,000 foot bio, if you will. I want to let everybody know that Jane was the featured speaker on one of our podcasts, one of our webinars, actually several years ago. Right, Jane? Was that during COVID or was it a little after COVID?
I think it was just after COVID. Yeah. And I think it was on cognitive resilience.
Cognitive resilience. And we had a really good turnout for that. What a topic. And just a bit of your background, HP, Hewlett-Packard for 10 years as program manager and neuro leadership SME global learning and development. Most recently, managing director of PwC, workforce of the future, right? Working on that, helping them with that. And now you're the chief learning officer of services at Inspiring Wiring, Inc.
Yes.
You just had a great career to this point, right? So being able to tap into your wisdom in the next few minutes is very much appreciated. So
looking forward.
The first question I have for you today is, how do you help leaders apply neuroscience principles to drive high performance? How does that fit together, Jane?
Yeah. The big question, and people often think it's something highly theoretical and heavy, but it's actually not. So social cognitive neuroscience is just the study of how our interactions and relationships and the culture we're in affects the way our brain works. And so I bring practical neuroscience factoids, brain hacks to the table to help leaders make sense of their common challenges and experiences, why things feel the way they do, why performance is the way that it is, why the dynamics on the team is the way it is, and then help them shift from a transactional leadership focus, short-term problem, competition, to more transformative, which is longer-term, strategic, creative, possibility, solution.
That's great. What are the most common barriers that executives face when trying to transform organizational culture? What do you see as the real barriers?
Yeah. Doesn't matter what sector, what type of organization, it's a fear-based culture. And there are symptoms. So we can say, to what extent am I in a fear-based culture? Symptoms include things like blaming, shaming, an attachment to or needing to be seen as right, as having the right answer. It can show up in energy industry in particular. I've done a lot of work there as physical incidents, safety issues, an unwillingness to experiment. This all comes from a fear-based culture, which we can undo and transform.
Absolutely. How do you measure the impact of leadership development programs on business growth? How critical are they to business growth?
Well, I always say, often leadership development can be something carved out, seen as an overhead, or we really don't need it, like your big ERP implementations, and, it's essential. Yeah. So we start off by making sure that the curriculum itself, the programming, is designed directly to build capabilities that will achieve and enable the business outcomes. So often it's identifying some key capabilities for leaders to exhibit and some key experiences or conditions that employees need to lean in to a change initiative, let's say, or just supporting the business initiatives. And so we build those capabilities that leaders are then held accountable to practicing them in between every learning session. So the programming is designed with the brain in mind, so it's sticky, practical. And then at the end of a program, typically, we will have some kind of showcasing or capstone requirement where they have to then demonstrate what they've done with everything they learned and how they will continue to apply it going forward. And data points that typically exist regularly in an organization, like you've got your employee satisfaction, or you're just using share price sometimes, if I'm looking at a publicly listed company, can be used before and after we move the needle.
You mentioned fear a minute ago, and psychological safety, I guess, is the other end of that spectrum. What strategies do you use to create psychological safety, Jane, in large or diverse team?
So that happens to be one I have quite a passion for because I've authored a number of psychological safety models and assessments, and also was on faculty at Google when they led their psychological safety-based leadership development program. And I'm also certified with a national standard as a psychological health and safety advisor. So what we start off by doing is gathering data, and there's a number of tools we can use to assess where is there a deficit across about 13 psychosocial behaviors in an organization. Once we've found out where there are some symptoms showing up and the implications, the impact it's having on the business, we then would go into a 3-year planning. Typically, this kind of systemic change that's required for installing psychological safety, which is essentially behavioral and practice-based. We would start with where is the key pain points. It might be out in the field because there are some compliance issues and physical safety issues, or it could be in another department where there's a lack of innovation. And we would start by building leadership curriculum and awareness to help make sure that there are certain ways that leaders are moving through the day behaviorally and in terms of policies and practices that start to shift things from fear-based to high-performance culture where accountability is high because psychological safety is high. It's one of the most delicious things to watch in an organization as they make that shift.
One of the most delicious things. Yeah, no, that's
it is. I love it.
I'll bet. And how has your approach evolved from working at large firms like PwC and HP to running a very successful consulting practice? Has there been a shift?
In terms of the research I draw from and my 25 years, gosh, has it been 25 years? Yes, of experience. I'm still drawing from the same body of research and expertise. But what I get to do now is work more intimately as a fractional chief learning officer, which just means you get to select exactly what expertise I bring directly with, usually it's the C-suite, COO, CHRO, and we get to tease out and just focus on what particular problem needs resolving. Is it around culture evolution? Is it around fostering innovation? Is it around overhauling your performance management system? So there's no difference really because, you know, we all have a brain if we work at Big Four or if we work in a not-for-profit. Often these problems, the same problems are showing up and the same issues are there. It's just at what scale to work now more intimately and bring all of my expertise directly in this role, as opposed to maybe being a few steps away from that in a big firm with much, much bigger projects. So I have a lot more fun these days, John.
Fun, a lot more satisfaction. I'm sure it brings you a ton of joy too. Right?
It's wonderful.
Yeah, 100%. I have one last question for you and then we'll wrap up, okay? Mm-hmm. What is the most surprising insight that you've discovered about human behavior in leadership and change initiatives that you've been involved in?
Okay, I would say, and it's partly through my own growth and hopefully some wisdom at this point in my career, what I've seen about leaders who can have the most successful change initiatives and be most effective at leading change is it's some real, not what I would have thought 20 years ago as their attributes. It's not necessarily the highest IQ, the smartest, or the most ambitious. It's the ones who have resilience. So there's been some suffering and struggle and learning. It's humility, their capacity to disarm people and get people to lean in. It's how much they care. So people will go to the ends of the earth and do whatever this leader wants them to. They have huge following and can enroll the masses behind change projects or any initiative because they have courage, they care, they have humility and a social intelligence. I think now more than ever, we want someone who is human and real and vulnerable, and we will do a lot better work and for much longer if a leader is that way. And we can teach that.
Yes, you can teach that. That's just absolutely terrific.
We can teach old dogs new tricks, John.
And how good is that, right? We can get, even at my age, we can get better. Yeah, oh, that's wonderful.
Neuroplasticity, it's wonderful.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Jane, it has been wonderful seeing you again and having you on the CO Global Network podcast. You know, you've really enlightened us in a very important area of leadership, right? And I know that you're helping a lot of companies succeed because of the work and the wisdom that you do bring to them. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Pleasure, John. Take care.